So the question we want to answer today is, why are some people very susceptible to getting infections and other people are immune from infections? I was flying somewhere this last weekend and I'm sitting in this plane and the person right behind me is just coughing and hacking, and the lady next to me has a scarf around her mouth, and I'm sitting there trying not to breathe the air in this plane. It was disgusting. And I had no symptoms at all, but you always think that, wow, I wonder if I'm going to get sick because I'm all these floating viruses and bacteria in this very small space. You never know. But let me just define this word susceptible. Likely or liable to be influenced or harmed by a particular thing. And we're talking about viruses and bacteria and microbes. What are the key things that make you liable to be influenced by a microbe? Well, the first thing you need to know is that there's two main parts of the immune system. You have the innate part and you have the adapted part of the immune system. Now, the innate is something you're born with. It's a rapid response of your immune system. It already has a pre-programmed function, and I'm talking about neutrophils, monocytes, natural killer cells. But the adapted is very different. When you're born, you don't have this system developed yet, and it's composed of T cells and B cells. This system requires education and training. So as soon as you start being exposed to the environment, whether it's a virus or a bacteria, your body starts reacting and learning and developing a memory, so the next time you're exposed to it, your immune system knows exactly what to do. This system is always trying to differentiate between your own cells and not kill your own cells off and only focus on the invader microbes. And of course, certain people in certain times of their life start having this system broken down where they can't differentiate and they start getting self-attack or autoimmune diseases. But there are 5 main things that make you susceptible to getting infections. At the top of the list, it's stress. There's some interesting research on bereavement, which is a condition that someone's in, grieving over a loss of a loved one. And they've done studies on that. And they found that your immune system is suppressed. Neutrophils, white blood cells, are actually suppressed. And when your immune system is suppressed, it leaves the back door open to have this microbe invade and create damage. Part of this is controlled by the flight or fight sympathetic nervous system. The other part is controlled by cortisol. Cortisol is one of the main stress hormones produced by the adrenal gland. Cortisol suppresses white blood cells. So anytime cortisol is elevated, you are susceptible to getting an infection. Now, if you have a chronic stress over a long period of time, cortisol tends to go down, and now you don't have the buffer, the suppressive force for these hyperimmune reactions. So you can also have problems with the immune system with low cortisol, as in a condition called Addison's disease, which these people are usually always sick with viruses, just as much as having high cortisol. And there's a condition called Cushing's syndrome, which involves high cortisol. So both can create this susceptibility to this microbe. I mean, when you think about people getting sick, many times it happens after a stress event. Then we get into low vitamin D levels, Vitamin D is probably one of the most important vitamins to protect your immune system simply because it modulates or controls both the innate and the adapted part of the immune system. So if you are deficient in vitamin D, both of these are not going to work and you're not going to have the defense mechanisms in place. And this is really why people get the flu in the fall and they get sick in the winter. It's simply because of the vitamin D. It's not the cold, it's not the rain, it's the low vitamin D. This is why I always recommend taking vitamin D through the winter months, and during the summer, get more sun. Then we get to zinc. Very important in immune protection. If you're low in zinc, your risk for getting strep, especially strep in your lungs, goes way up. Also, you can't kill bacteria as well. Zinc is present in certain white blood cells that help kill bacteria. And by the way, 1 billion people on this planet are deficient in zinc. All right, number 4, vitamin A. Very important in the mucus lining of your sinuses, of your respiratory area, of your throat. Vitamin A is involved in the protective layer on the inside of the body. So if you're deficient in vitamin A, your risk factors go up for getting infections in the lung. And by the way, I forgot to say this, when you're low in vitamin D, your risk factor for viruses of the lung go way, way up. But if you're low in vitamin A, your phagocytes, the cells that kill bacteria and clean up bacteria out of the system, are suppressed. And it just so happens that there is something that has a nice equal amount of vitamin A and vitamin D, and you guessed it, it's cod liver oil, something that your grandmother probably recommended growing up. Okay, then we have vitamin C, essential for your immune system and to protect you against microbes. Not having enough vitamin C makes you very susceptible. The phagocytes don't work anymore. You get a buildup of bacteria. You can't produce antibodies as well anymore. So overall, in summary, these are the 5 things involved in susceptibility to getting infections. So if you want more knowledge on how to create a healthy body, subscribe now and get daily notifications.